counted us down and opened the gates, at which point
Water
I charged
exists in
head
this
first
world.
into my opponent. He responded by blowing off all of my limbs with a nuclear bomb.
Proper
Clearly, we need a
reaction.
different approach. The guy
Look, you sprayed the man without consent right out of the gate. I feel like that's a proper reaction. Like, you get what you get after that. Fallout 4 is honestly one of those games I consider a timeless enigma. Genuinely, this is one of the most, if not the most, modded game I've ever encountered in my time. That said, some mods just shouldn't exist because Reggie exists. And we all knew this was bound to happen. How do you survive in a world like Fallout, but instead of a 9mm, you fire literal nukes? You don't. So how is this video longer than 5 seconds? I don't know, but Reggie has seemingly found a way. So before we inevitably meet our end, make sure you leave a like and subscribe.
I want to introduce you to a world where bullets were never invented.
nose is
Instead,
crooked.
humanity went straight to nuclear weapons, meaning that every firearm, from a homemade pistol to a minigun, is capable of unleashing Armageddon upon your
Why would
enemies.
you do that
In this
to
world,
yourself?
there are only 3 rules. 1, you shoot first, or you don't shoot at all. 2, you should always have a backup plan in case you run out of ammo. And the most important of all is that water gun fights are now strictly off limits. In a post-apocalyptic setting such as this, there's only one thing left to do. Slavery. If you've ever watched a soot-encrusted Indonesian man mining sulfur for 7 cents a day and thought to yourself, damn, he's ripping us all off, then I have news for you, because we are the same person. All of that is to say, I'm a big fan of capitalism, and when it comes to maximizing shareholder value, nowhere does it better than Nuka World. Some people will call this a defunct amusement park taken over by erotic cosplayers, but really, it's just a different kind of amusement now, because we have hundreds of people forced into slave labor using explosive collars. From the moment I saw this 8 years ago, I knew it was my destiny to be the CEO of this wonderful business. So that's our goal. Utilize weapons of mass destruction to take over Nuka World and usher in an era of mega slavery. Can we succeed?
You can take over Nuka World? What? Okay, in my defense, I never got to finish the game. So, what? What? Huh? This is Fallout 4, right?
Destruction to take over Nuka World and usher in an era of mega slavery. Can we succeed, or will we be stopped by literally anyone with a gun? There's only one way to tell. But first, I have to watch my wife get shot. That part plays out a little differently in this timeline. So my wife and son were vaporized in a thermonuclear blast. Unfortunate, but from their ashes, a hero was born. We escape the vault and enter into a world whose color scheme could best be described as 50 shades of vomit. From here, we could go straight to Nuka World, but we're level 1, and we have about as many items as a paranoid schizophrenic who thinks the government is spying on him through his microwave. So instead, we'll spend a few hours gathering supplies and trying to reach level 15, at which point we...
Like, wait a second, they probably are. And then I thought about that for like 2 more seconds and realized I have a microwave that requires the Wi-Fi to function. You could say I'm in direct contact, unintentionally, with my FBI agent via my microwave and oven. Yeah, if it's not connected to Wi-Fi, they don't work. Welcome to modern technology, everybody.
Said we'll spend a few hours gathering supplies and trying to reach level 15, at which point we should be ready. I saunter my way into what I assume is modern-day Los Angeles, at which point a Cockney robot attempts to socialize with me, but that's exactly what they expect me to do. So instead, I jump on top of my neighbor's roof and dive headfirst into a pool of radioactive sewage. That ought to throw them off. Our first goal is to find a gun, because the power spike from punching things to nuking things is pretty substantial. After wandering around, I find a dead body with a revolver on it, and upon testing it out on some nearby wildlife, I was both excited and terrified at the world I had created. I made my way into a nearby town where usually a small group of bandits is fighting with some Minutemen. But now a small group of bandits is committing a nuclear holocaust with some Minutemen. And if you think this is bad, you should have seen it before we reduced the explosion effects. Anyway, I tried silently assassinating the raiders. This was met with very limited success. Eventually, I got tired of role-playing as a high-altitude weather balloon, so I nuked the bandits and entered the museum to help the Minutemen. Or rather, I tried to enter the museum, because as dangerous as nuclear warfare is outside, it's 10 times worse inside.
Well,
and I got spawn killed for about 20 minutes before I finally made it past the front door. But by that point...
This poor man, he can't take 2 steps until his legs are... He can't take 2 steps before his legs are obliterated. Oh my god, I can't. What have you created, Reggie? And how are your frames alive? Like, how did he how did he manage to record this? I don't believe it. Flames in general, explosives. That's a lot. All that happening all at once. Oh dear God. Bless your PC.
I got spawn killed for about 20 minutes before I finally made it past the front door. But by that point, I had been ground zero for roughly 35 nuclear detonations. My ears were ringing, my retinas were fried, and there was a very distinct possibility of me vomiting all over my keyboard. But my noble goal gave me the strength to continue. From here, I went room by room, clearing out the raiders in close quarters combat. This is a fantastic way to learn the exact blast radius of a nuclear bomb. Because if you're off by even an inch, your limbs will eject from your body like rocket-propelled grenades. Eventually, I made it to Preston Garvey, who wasted no time complaining about how hard his life is. Just wait until he hears about my plans for Nuka World. Preston had me climb up to the roof and equip this suit of power armor. I was feeling very confident until a drug-fueled maniac popped out from around a corner and gave me both barrels of his shotgun, a phrase which has recently intensified in meaning since each pellet is now its own nuke.
Oh, shotguns are broken. I wouldn't want any other weapon. A minigun or a shotgun, that's all I would want. Because that is cracked. And I would assume the ammo? Yeah. A bit more easily obtainable if you're just using a shotgun. Oh, it's perfect. Oh, we need many of them.
A phrase which has recently intensified in meaning, since each pellet is now its own nuke. Honestly, I had a lot of difficulty at this section, because the minigun takes half a second to spin up, and if a raider happens to squeeze out even a single shot in that time, it's all over.
Dead.
But if I've learned anything from watching a homeless man avoid arrest by drinking his vodka out of an antifreeze bottle, it's that necessity breeds innovation. Come to think of it, that might have actually just been antifreeze. Regardless, I pioneered a new combat strategy, that is the mortar technique. Instead of shooting at my enemies, I just kind of carpet bombed the entire town with poorly aimed artillery.
Yeah.
And it worked really well. From here, I jumped off the roof and did my best to crush Preston like an ant.
What are you, crazy?
When that failed, I settled for finishing off the raiders and laughing at the Deathclaw's attempt to intimidate me. Following this, I went inside, Preston thanked me, and Mama Murphy gave me the perfect setup for a joke.
We're all gonna die eventually.
Yep. After reloading, we all went to Sanctuary and started drinking from the same toilet bowl, because we are now friends. In fact, Sturgis asked me if I could build everyone some beds so they didn't have to sleep underneath bridges and inside of burnt-out cars. I looked him straight in the eye and said I would do that. Of course, I was lying. In fact, I immediately left Sanctuary and never contacted any of these strange people again in my entire life.
Yeah, they are a bit weird. I mean, Mama only asks for drugs. That's literally all she wants from you. She's great, but like, it's also kind of alarming. You're in this weird place with people you don't know, and suddenly they're asking you to do all these things for them, plus drugs. Yeah. I too would run away and never look back. Because who are they?
Contacted any of these strange people again in my entire life.
Corvega.
At this point, we're level 3, and I've got a decent selection of guns, but I'd still like to gain access to some better perks before taking on Nuka World. So I began doing odd jobs around the wasteland. First mission,
Ask for
a
money.
filthy woman wants me to go to this place and kill all of these people. No
Bomb
problem.
it.
I travel to the Corvega factory and start using my mortar technique to soften up their defenses. It takes
Yeah,
only
a
9
little
seconds
squishy.
for me to accidentally nuke myself.
Oh.
That's a personal best. Eventually, I make my way inside and begin atomizing the inhabitants while the building vibrates violently with each shot. Luckily, the other raiders convinced themselves it was just the wind. Now, you might think the
Yeah.
best weapon for room clearing would be a shotgun, but you'd be wrong, and I found this out the hard way,
come?
because the spread on a shotgun means it's almost impossible to aim it straight, and despite your best efforts, you will hit either the floor or the ceiling, and the
Right.
resulting blast will almost certainly
Kill
turn you
you.
into a human jigsaw puzzle. This happened to me more times than I'd like to admit, before I begrudgingly filed the double-barrel shotgun next to Reggie Fan Meetup in the cat.
I'll address that in a moment. What I was going to say is I would have the shotgun for outdoor stuff. And maybe like a pistol for indoor stuff. Something cheap, but nice. With a big mag. Because I don't like, 8 bullets per round or 6 bullets per round. I'm very picky. I'm so sorry. I don't like revolvers. They're cool, but I don't like them. Take too long to reload.
Before I begrudgingly filed the double-barrel shotgun next to Reggie Fan Meetup in the category of things that sound
I
fun
wanna go
but
to
will
Reggie Con.
probably get me killed. I also tried hacking into this cute little security robot so he could help me clear out the bandits. He lasted all of 3 seconds before they murdered him in cold blood.
Oh, just like that one robot. I forgot its name.
This was the single biggest mistake the raiders could have made, because his existence was the only thing stopping me from doing this.
They massacred my boy! No.
Yes, indeed, the bandits were dead. Completing this quest
Well,
got
yeah,
us to
they
level
deserved
6
that.
and allowed me to unlock the Mysterious Stranger perk, which
Oh.
is now substantially more satisfying because yes, he does shoot nuclear bombs. This was good, but we still have a long way to go, so I continued on my quest to convert
see
every
who that
living
was,
being into
Reggie.
experience points. It went a little like this. I start the day with some train yard hobos. First you shoot them, then you beat them. 8 experience each. Also, tried my hand at cattle wrangling.
Success.
I think I'm a natural. Shipyard? Break into a shipyard. It's full of murder crabs.
Kill them.
Now it's not. Apparently, the owner was
It's-
trying to
it's-
domesticate them by playing
Yeah, they're
soothing
gone.
messages on the PA. It didn't work. That was a lot of effort. Let's go ahead.
That's a real line in game. Only meanies eat meat. I must be a jerk then. All I eat is chicken and beef. I have chicken, beef, vegetable. That's it. My day is either chicken, beef, or both, or none. I don't eat much, but it's some sort of meat whenever I do. Yeah, chicken's great. I like chicken. I prefer the thigh, though. Breast is always a little too dry for me, personally.
On the PA.
I'm the
It,
meanest
didn't
person you'll
work.
ever meet.
That was a lot of effort. Let's go ahead and take a rest for the night in this old building. Never mind, the universe hates us and we've just been ambushed in our sleep by attack dogs. Plunge
that's
the
messed
world
up.
into nuclear winter in retaliation. After that, I went to Bunker
Poor
Hill,
Butler.
where I spent 20 minutes marveling at the ugliest human being I have ever seen. Which is strong words coming from someone who looks in the mirror every morning. Once I
Yeah,
was
but
done, I
you're-
went to the
you're
Drumlin
mewing.
Diner to try to negotiate peace between some raiders and the store owner. When I told the lady I wouldn't be taking her side, she presented me with a very compelling argument.
Oh my god!
But 2 can play at that game.
It's beautiful. Oh no, it's gorgeous.
Say what you want, but this is the
Necessary.
fastest method of de-escalation. Following this, we got a quest to kill everyone inside this preschool.
I mean, wouldn't that give you some sort of rep with the other guy that was having problems with her? So, yeah, I don't see a problem with it. It's a win-win situation. You get rid of one problem and rewarded for it. I see no issue here. Because she had no reason to pull out a gun like that. None.
Fastest method of de-escalation. Following this, we got a quest to kill everyone inside this preschool. Don't worry, the kids are already dead. We're just killing the raiders. I nuked every room with extreme prejudice, but still died anyway because the whole place is booby-trapped and tripwire guns now fire atomic bombs. But it's okay, because we can always retreat to the public bathroom to brew more health potions. Eventually, I find their leader and introduce him to the concept of a glory hole before stuffing his charred corpse into a garbage bin. Finally, I finish by releasing all of his captives, except for you. Someone has to stay behind to tell the people about my good deeds. After all that, we're now level 10, and I've even figured out how to craft bear traps, which I have successfully stress tested on a small child. Works like a charm. Let's finish up a few more quests and then go straight to Nuka World. I was in Bunker Hill admiring the absolute girth of this man's biceps when I was approached by Edward Deegan. He took me to Cabot House to accept a quest from John Cabot, who wants us to steal some secret serum from a psychotic gentleman living in a shack on top of a hill, which is fine. However, John bears a striking resemblance to the Zodiac Killer, and so I wasn't sure if I could trust him. That's why I covertly stole and hid exactly one of his pool balls. If he betrays me, he'll never get this back, and the loss of a singular ball in an otherwise perfect set will almost certainly drive him to a suicidal rage. This is what we call establishing collateral.
Look, you gotta mess with them in any way. If you feel like they could possibly turn on you, make sure you leave them with the biggest hurt you could possibly give. Psychological torture. It's effective, long-lasting, even after death. This is how it works. I see no problem with that. Just a single ball missing is enough to make you go insane.
Drive him to a suicidal rage. This is what we call establishing collateral. Anyway, I went to the insane guy's shack to get the serum, but an acorn fell on the ground and it spooked me, so I spent the next 55 seconds nuking the man's house until I stopped getting hit markers.
Yep, he's getting, something. Wow, that's a scary acorn. Look at that.
I grabbed the vial, went back to Cabot, lied to him, and said the serum was gone, before taking it out of my inventory, waving it in front of his face, and injecting it into my neck just for fun. For good measure, I also smashed a bunch of his research equipment and stole this fancy camera. Only one more quest to go, then we're off to Nuka World.
What's that
It's time to go help Paladin Dan.
I'm really curious, what does that gun do? Zeta wave? It's a gamma round? Fire rate 66, range 10 rats? Does it just inflict radiation? That's an interesting little doohickey. I like it.
Just for fun. For good measure, I also smashed a bunch of his research equipment and stole this fancy camera. Only one more quest to go, then we're off to Nuka World. It's time to go help Paladin dance.
No, it could be a camera. Cameras or guns.
I rushed to his distress signal as fast as I could, but upon arriving, it seemed like he had things under control.
Hi.
I talked to Dance, and he asked me to accompany him on a mission to salvage technology from some nearby ruins. This quest was awful, but I do have a few tips. First of all, you're going to come across a gang of bandits robbing some traders. This is an interesting interaction that I recommend observing from a distance. Second, if you hear any variation of the phrase, "we've got company," you need to run for cover, because there is a 90% chance Paladin Dance is about to pivot like LeBron James and nuke the shit out of you for being within 20 feet of a bloatfly.
We've got company.
If and when you do finally make it to the destination, the synths inside are very dangerous, so I recommend a tactical approach, such as watching through a sheet of plexiglass as Paladin Dance does all the hard work. Also, when you get to the basement, don't forget to accidentally melt off Dance's face with this rocket exhaust. Trust me, he actually likes it. After that, you just go upstairs, grab the tech, and it's all over. It's not a great quest, but it does give us the junk jet, which is some kind of pneumatic catapult.
We're just gonna gloss over the fact that we have melted Dance. Did he not get affected by that at all? Or is he actually dead? I don't know who to believe anymore. I didn't even know Dance until 5 seconds ago. I liked him and now he's gone. I don't know how to feel about that. What the heck, Reggie? He was helping you out. He was your personal lawnmower. Why'd you do that? You're messed up.
over. It's not a great quest, but it does give us the junk jet, which is some kind of pneumatic catapult for weaponizing random garbage. While it doesn't fire atomic bombs, it does allow me to kill my opponents by cracking them in the forehead with dirty cigarette trays, which is something that resonates with me deeply. Finally, we're now level 16 with maxed out luck, a few helpful perks, and a new rifle that has a 50-round drum mag along with a bayonet for close quarters combat. But before we go any further, I need to warn you about something, because the fine people at Makeship have infiltrated my apartment, stolen my genetic material, and created hundreds of clones of me that are conveniently the correct size and shape to fit inside of a mason jar. But you wouldn't do that to me, right?
Convenient.
Anyway, for a limited...
Can I look at that screenshot that was on that computer real quick? Just out of curiosity, there was words on that. Hold on a second.
Shape to fit inside of a mason jar. But you would...
Hey guys, did you know that in terms of male human and femboy YouTuber breeding, Reggie is the most compatible femboy for humans? Not only is he slime-based, Reggie is a height of 6'2" tall and has a 12-inch... This means he is large enough to be able to handle human... And with his impressive length and access to condoms, you can be rough with this one. Due to his mostly slime-based biology, there's no doubt in my mind that an aroused Reggie would be incredibly wet, so wet that you could easily have with him for hours without getting sore. He can also learn moves like peg, tax evasion, vehicular manslaughter, and terrorism, along with not having fur to hide nipples, so it'd be incredibly easy for him to get you in the mood. With his ability as cum absorb and hydration, he can easily recover from fatigue with enough love juice. No other femboy comes close to this level of compatibility. Also, fun fact, if you pull out enough, you can make your Reggie turn white. Reggie is literally built for human. Ungodly defense stat plus long plus slime means he can take all day, all shapes and sizes, and still come for more. Ahegao. Toast the sentient toaster. I have never met you. I don't know who you are. I know what you based that paragraph off of. I struggled to read it even because I need glasses and I don't have them on me right now. Contrary to what my model has. Ignore that. But I liked that. Thank you. It was based. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. That's all I had to say. I just wanted to know what it said. Because it does make sense. Reggie is very slime-based, and I can't argue with any of the points made. Did you get a Reggie plush?
do that to me, right? Anyway, for a limited time, we're going to be selling these Reggie plushies, and I highly recommend picking one up. But Reggie, what can I use this for? Well, I like to use mine as my own personal hostage. You see, he's relatively small, which makes him very easy to overpower. Sometimes I also like to wave a big knife in front of his face. It fills me with a sense of control that I've long since lost in my life. Also, he has no legs with which to run, no mouth with which to scream, only eyes with which he may observe me perform my elaborate war dances as I prepare to take his life. But if that's not exactly your style, he also makes a pretty good stress ball. So you've got 30 days to take me hostage. Do you think you have what it takes?
I wish
if
I
so,
could.
click the pinned link in the comments and put yourself down for as much of me as you think you can handle. Then prepare
500.
yourself. Now back to the video. I arrived at the Nuka World Transit Center with determination because from here we can take a tram to the amusement park. The only thing stopping us is a small army of bandits, robots, and rooftop snipers.
That was an interesting looking robot.
I must have died about 15 times at this part before I settled on just firing 30 nukes into the sky and hiding in a parking garage while all of my enemies were turned to ash.
So I have questions already, and we've only been in Nuka World for all of like 3 seconds. Why does Nuka World hate you? Is it because your reputation is bad? So automatically everybody's just like, yeah, that guy, kill him. He's not good. He bombed that last town. Nah, not this time. Or is it just full of hostiles and they hate you regardless? I mean, there really isn't much of a difference aside from reputation, right? So then how is he planning on enslaving anybody if they'd rather just blow up the... Okay. You know what? I trust you, Reggie. You can do this.
Nukes into the sky and hiding in a parking garage while all of my enemies were turned to ash. I made my way down to the tram where this guy was telling me raiders had taken his family hostage at Nuka World. Apparently he escaped but was shot in the process. But the fact he didn't have a single drop of blood anywhere on his body led me to believe this man was a liar. So I politely excused myself, loaded up my junk jet with steel ingots, and then came back and pulverized his heart with a high-velocity metal slug. Now his story about being wounded is a lot more believable. After this, I jumped on the tram and it took me to the promised land. I arrived and it was beautiful. A voice came over the speaker and told me two things. One, I'm trapped, and two, the only way to escape is to survive the gauntlet. I surveyed my surroundings and found the dead bodies of several half-eaten male prostitutes. So I'm going to go ahead and say my chances aren't great, but let's give it a shot. Room 1, a large lobby full of rusted junk. If the tetanus doesn't kill you, the machine gun turrets firing nukes definitely will.
Everything
Also,
will
the ceilings
kill you.
are very low, which makes it easy for you to blow yourself up. So I recommend using VATS. Even if your chance to hit is low, it doesn't really matter, because atomic bombs are more of a to whom it may concern type weapon anyway. After that, it's on to room 2. This room was supposed to be armed with several booby traps. However, the nuclear detonation we unleashed on the last room seems to have spilled over and disabled most of them. The key word being most. After reassembling my body parts, I moved to room 3, which presented us with 3 doors to choose from. Door 2 was a room full of human heads, which appear to have been decapitated in the middle of nutting, while door 3 contained a bouquet of live grenades. I'm flattered. Escaping through door 1 led us to a radiation room, which was giving me 60 rads per second. In order to avoid developing stage 4 League of Legends, I took a near lethal dose of radiation medication and ran around in a fugue state until I found the keys to escape. Next was a maze full of bizarre traps and animatronic aliens.
What the
Fairly
heck is
simple,
this place?
just don't underestimate the overgrown.
Genuinely, what is this place? Is it just hell on earth incarnate? Who made this? What kind of demented playground? Why? Huh? I need explanations. Why is it that important? Why is this place so important? Why are there so many dead people on... Why are their heads on stakes? What in the cannibalism?
Aliens.
Okay.
Fairly simple, just don't underestimate the overgrown rats, because they will not hesitate to put you down.
Rough, man.
After this was a tunnel full of landmines. Sprint through it at top speed and across this definitely up-to-code wooden bridge. It collapsed, and you're now being attacked by shellfish. Assert terrestrial dominance before proceeding to the hardest room of all, the gas chamber. It's here where we get locked into a room which is quickly filling with phosphine gas. If we don't get through this door in the next 30 seconds, we'll be dead. So here's the plan. Take a bunch of drugs to numb the pain of your lungs being dissolved. Stab all these bugs while making sure to fill your pockets with their succulent meat for later. And then hop on this computer and open the escape door. That leads us to a shed full of flying ants, which are surprisingly difficult to hit with a nuke. The torture of this room is a little more abstract, but it's very real nonetheless. Then quickly run through this cage area while people shoot at you from above. Just kidding, you can't do this quickly and you're going to die at least a dozen times. But after that, we're finally at the last stage of the gauntlet. See that guy down there in the power armor covered in blood? Yeah, we're going to fight him and he's invincible. But we have a secret weapon. It's not a high-powered rifle or even a rocket launcher. Instead, our secret weapon is a plastic water gun. The plan, in theory, is that our enemy is receiving power to his suit from this exposed electrical line. And if we can cover him in water, well, that probably wouldn't be very good. Alright, let's give it a shot. They counted us down and opened the gates, at which point I charged head first into my opponent. He responded by blowing off all of my limbs with a nuclear bomb. Clearly, we need a different approach. The guy...
Look, you sprayed the man without consent right out of the gate. I feel like that's a proper reaction. Like, you get what you get after that. Because, like, how else are you supposed to respond? That's kind of, you know, at least take him to dinner first, right?
Blowing off all of my limbs with a nuclear bomb. Clearly, we need a different approach. The guy is actually invincible, but I found out that I
Really?
can stay in the starting area and snipe him with the water gun to disable his armor. Then I
Snipe
followed up
him
with
with
like 20
water.
nukes to finish him off. Following this, a lot
he's
of
not
exposition
invincible.
happens, but I'm going to summarize it really quickly. That guy we just electrocuted, yeah, he was the CEO of Nuka World, and the raiders that live here seem to put a lot of respect on violently murdering your political opponents, so they now recognize me as their leader. This is fantastic, and it comes with a lot of perks. For example, I now live at the peak of Fizztop Mountain with a lovely view over all of my employees.
That's gorgeous.
You are now one of my elite employees.
Also,
Yeah,
since I'm the boss, I can
they
go to the
are.
market, steal things right out of the display case, and then sell them back to the shop owner for free money. The downside is that Nuka World
That's
is divided into 6
broken. Oh my
parks, with
God.
only one of them being under our control. So it's our job to liberate the remaining parks directly into my authoritarian governance. Then, once we have them, we can distribute them to the different raider factions according to which of their political philosophies I find the most amusing. So it's time to go
Schizophrenia.
meet the gangs. Operating out of Fizztop Mountain is the Disciples, which is a faction that couldn't be any edgier even if they were actively pulverizing the elderly in a hydraulic press. This is
Oh, that's
strangely
messed up.
juxtaposed against the fact that they don't know how many belts you can wear before people stop taking you seriously.
I mean,
Overall,
it's just a fashion statement, I suppose. I guess you get bored in a nuclear wasteland. You gotta get creative, you know? Belts are uncomfortable, though. I don't wear them. I don't even own one. I don't think I would fit in very well there. Nuke 'em.
it's the fact that they don't know how many belts you can wear before people stop taking you seriously. Overall,
Yeah.
they're my second favorite. The second
Oh,
faction is
really?
the Operators. Their primary concern is making money at the cost of human life, which is my personal favorite philosophy. However, they have some shared mental disorder
my
which
favorite.
precludes them from wearing clothes that actually fit. I don't know exactly why, but
What
this
is
makes me
that?
extraordinarily angry,
like
and I
Frozone.
regularly have to restrain myself from killing them. Fortunately, I found a good compromise. Instead of creating a civil war by nuking their entire faction,
Just
I just
stab her.
swing by every few days, find a random operator, and secretly deposit a live grenade in his pocket. Lastly, there's the pack. They have a relatively experimental
Oh my
aesthetic,
God, you're
along with a
gone.
nice selection of chairs. But whenever you want to talk to their leader, you're going to be forced to listen to the bite.mp3 sound effect for hours on end, because they installed a dogfight pit in the middle of their base. This immediately and irrevocably disqualifies them from receiving any
Kill 'em.
further attention from me whatsoever.
Yeah, just kill him. Galactic
With
Worlds.
introductions out of the way, it's
Ooh.
time to start expanding our operation and making some big money. There's 5 parks to acquire: Galactic World, Dry Rock Gulch, Safari Adventure, the Nuka-Cola Bottling Plant, and Kitty Kingdom. First up is Galactic World. This is a space-themed park inhabited by hundreds of robots. However, someone spilled their Dr. Pepper on the AI mainframe, and it caused the
Yeah.
robots to become violent murder machines. It's not great for business, so I went there and
it's
started
not.
fighting my way through the streets. The first thing I noticed was that there's plenty of laser turrets all over the premises. Luckily, they don't seem to work very well, and
The laser turrets are just security cameras with lasers in them. I want to say that's innovative, but also that's kind of terrifying. Just saying. Yeah. That's a bit.
was that there's plenty of laser turrets all over the
terrified.
premises. Luckily, they don't seem to work very well, and usually spend their entire time in a life-or-death battle against the ceiling. However, don't get too comfortable, because on at least one occasion, the air pressure from these explosions caused my cranium to detonate forcefully. Other than that, just keep an eye out for Mr. Frothy, who is very
oh my
fast and will
God.
startle you into jumping off a bridge and subsequently dying in a nuclear explosion.
Oh.
Anyway, I made my way to the control room, where I'm able to turn off the robots. Only problem, it's broken, and it needs a total of 20 star cores to repair it. Unfortunately, they're scattered all
We can
over the
get
park in the
those.
safekeeping of several automatons that would like
Mario
to
music
crush
is
my
fitting.
neck like a can of soda. But much like a restraining order, I viewed this as a challenge rather than a problem. Do you really think I can't get within 100 feet of you? So I began wandering around looking
it.
for these cores, which
Do
led me
it.
to a building called the Robco Battle Zone. My hopes of this name being metaphorical were quickly dashed when upon entering I died about 37 different times.
My God.
Part of the issue is that the mini nuke mod...
Aren't you like kind of locked in once you enter a new area? Like when you die, it'll just reload you re-entering that same space again, and unless you reload a previous save, right? I would have gone insane. I would have lost my marbles. I don't like dying that much in back-to-back fashion. Reggie, you have some sort of strength that I don't have. I salute you.
Entering, I died about 37 different times. Part of the issue is that the mini nuke mod isn't working perfectly on the robots, and some of them are shooting me with laser beams. While my supple body is perfectly optimized for dying in nuclear explosions, it does very little to protect me against this space-age technology. But just like how the lifeguards at the YMCA can't stop me from drinking the pool water, these robots couldn't stop me from blasting my way into the battle zone. At which point, I was promptly locked inside and forced to fight a variety of enemies which entered from these doors and these hydraulic platforms. The robots were tough, but the primary difficulty in this cramped space was finding a place to detonate a nuke that wouldn't instantly vaporize me. First, we had to survive some Protectrons and a swarm of iBots. No problem. Then it was on to the Novatrons, even easier. Then our final opponent was the Space Sentry.
Oh, it's beautiful. I want one for myself. Your squishy human flesh can't protect you. You just have to fire before that door opens.
He got the better of me. But as the saying goes, fool me.
Huh? I will obliterate you with...
But as the saying goes, fool me.
What? Why is it going silent? Nuclear weapons. Oh no.
The Interstellar Theater.
Okay, so I checked. That silence is silent. Like in the video, kind of silent. I could be wrong, but I did just check twice. Oh man, I'll never know what he said.
The Interstellar Theater. Surely a fucking theater can't be as dangerous as the battle zone, I thought to myself. But boy, was I wrong. Very, very, very wrong. The entire auditorium was full of robots, and honestly, I was only able to conquer this area through the repeated use of a strategy I like to call kill one guy and then save the game. While searching for the star cores, I found a Nuka-Cola mixing station, which allowed me to combine a Nuka-Cola beer with another Nuka-Cola beer to create double beer. Some people will claim that AI and vaccines are the greatest advancements of the past century, but to that I ask, can you get drunk on polio vaccines? I didn't think so. That's why double beer is the real scientific pinnacle of our generation. After completing my schizophrenic monologue about alcohol, I found the star cores next to a few decomposing junkies in the washroom. Very nice. The last building wasn't as bad. Vault Tech Among the Stars is a recreation vault life experience, outfitted with realistic living rooms, indoor gardens, and even an entire room dedicated to giving you cancer. I'm feeling nostalgic already.
I love the cancer room. It's a beautiful place. Simply just breathe in that fresh air. Minus 1 HP with every second you spend.
And even an entire room dedicated to giving you cancer. I'm feeling nostalgic already. Strangely, as my character progressed through this area, he was getting recurring headaches. I chalked it up to a brain tumor and thought nothing of it. But it turns out the whole vault was actually just one giant experiment in subliminal messaging. According to this observation log, they're broadcasting a high frequency over the PA that's meant to induce degenerate behavior such as pissing your pants. Joke's on them. them, they just wasted millions of dollars to make me do something that I was already going to do anyway. Following this, I slaughtered a bunch of automatons, found a really nice shotgun, immediately flashed back to all of those times I killed myself with a shotgun, and then quickly unequipped it before finding the remaining star cores and rushing back to the mainframe. With the help of computer scientist extraordinaire and definitely not dead person Kendall Alston, I was able to repair the computer and pacify all of the AI, meaning we can now walk around the park without having to worry about a medical robot electrifying our testicles. With the robots subjugated, I went upstairs and raised a flag to officiate the conquest of Galactic world. Our empire is expanding, and the next theater of war is the Wild West.
Dry
Rock Gulch is an arid wasteland inhabited primarily by dead bodies, which should make it an easy target. So I made my way there and quickly realized where all the dead bodies came from, because within moments of arriving, I was attacked by subterranean bloodworms. Yeah, these little bastards tunnel.
No, I was gonna say, is it like a den of like really tightly knit raiders? No, never mind. It's worse than tightly knit raiders. It's bloodworms. Just nuke the place. I would have just kept shooting and I wouldn't have stopped until I ran out, and then I would have found more ammo and I would have kept shooting, because those don't deserve to live. They're disgusting. Nasty little things. I bet you can't kill them through the ground either. You have to wait for them to pop up like daisies. Bing! I'm here. Hi.
Arriving, I was attacked by subterranean bloodworms. Yeah, these little bastards tunnel around underground and then ambush you when you least expect it, which means they're either underground, so you can't kill them, or they're firmly latched onto your jugular vein in such a way that makes using a nuclear bomb seem a little too risky. In this case, I recommend treating the entire area as a high-stakes game of the floor is lava.
And
eventually, I came down to chat with the sheriff, who informed me that he'll give us the perk if we can get rid of the bandits coming out of this building.
There's
One
bandits?
problem, the building is locked, and I need combination codes from the Giddy Up Kid, One-Eyed Ike, and Phosphorus Pete to gain entry. I really wish he told me this before I carpet bombed the entire park, because I'm pretty sure I killed all of those people. This was an irritating development, but my anger quickly faded after the sheriff appointed me as his deputy and gave me this excellent cowboy outfit. Upon reloading the save, I found the Giddy Up Kid, who explained that some cattle rustlers had stolen his loyal steed, and he wants me to bring it back. In case you're wondering, he's talking about an inanimate object, but it was like 4 a.m. at this point in the recording, so I just played along with it.
Rustle up some horses for you, huh, cowboy? I'll be back before sundown.
I searched the grounds for all of 13 seconds before finding the torso of a giddy-up buttercup stuffed inside this man's anal cavity. I grabbed it and dropped its dismembered body inside the horse pen. Our friend was mildly dismayed.
That's gross.
What happened to Giddy-Up Buttercup?
I don't know.
Butchered her up like a cow.
But he still gave us his part of the combination code, so I don't really care. Next, I sauntered into a saloon where I met Phosphorus Pete. He wants us to deliver some Nuka-Cola to the residents of Dry Rock Gulch. No problem.
The people of Dry Rock Gulch.
And before you ask, yes, all of the people we delivered soda to were in fact dead bodies. Which
I love these robots. They're so cute. Because what do you mean? They're like, hey, I'll help you out. If you just like, they look kind of thirsty. Could you get them something to drink? That'd be nice. I'll help you out afterward. Makes you familiarize with the place, and then you realize, wow, these robots are really dumb, but kind of cute at the same time. Does that make sense? I like them. I want them. Give me one. I won't be safe around it, but I want one.
You ask, yes, all of the people we delivered soda to were in fact dead bodies, which I made sure to tell Pete.
I'm afraid
they're all dead.
Well, that ain't good.
Doesn't matter though, the quest is done, and Pete rewarded us with his code, along with a large quantity of alcoholic Nuka-Cola, which I quickly became addicted to. From here, I sought out One-Eyed Ike to complete our final test, which, much to my dismay, would be a duel at 10 paces. Ike gave me a 44 Magnum and started counting down, but unfortunately, I was still stun-locked by the idea that an amusement park mascot was programmed to hand out loaded revolvers to children before shooting them, which resulted in Ike getting the better of me. Second attempt attempt at the duel, I won, but I won a little too hard, and Ike wasn't alive to give me his code. Third time's the charm. For this, I decided to swap to the junk jet, and after blasting Ike in the head with a steel ingot and an empty beer bottle, he conceded defeat and gave me the final piece of code. Now we can enter this mine shaft, destroy the bloodworm queen.
See, I was about to say, it'd be really hard to do anything regarding Ike if he didn't have the junk jet. If he didn't have the junk jet, I don't think he would be able to do quite a few things in this game. Because there's just some NPCs that you cannot afford to kill. And Ike is one of them. Ike is absolutely one of them. He's cute, though. It's okay. It's a robot. He's not going to hurt you. Okay, well, maybe he'll shoot you, but that's fine. He doesn't know that he has a nuke loaded in his revolver.
And after blasting Ike in the head with a steel ingot and an empty beer bottle, he conceded defeat and gave me the final piece of code. Now we can enter this mine shaft, destroy the bloodworm queen, and claim Dry Rock Gulch. Honestly, this part was pretty easy. There's really only two things you need to do. One, make sure you break into the office so you can equip this cool duster and pretend you're playing an actually good Fallout game.
I like
and
that.
this last thing should go without saying, but do not jump in the pit full of dead cows, because they'll erupt with dozens of bloodworms and it makes for a very stressful experience. Other than that, I just nuked everything inside and completed the quest. Not too bad.
Safari
After
Adventure.
raising the flag, we're all done at Dry Rock Gulch and on to the next target, Safari Adventure. I approached the park and observed...
Why is this place built like Disney? Is this a whole Disney reference? I'm realizing this a bit late. Is it? Because, like, how many parks are there at Disney? Isn't there, like, you've got Epcot, you've got, what, like 4, 5 parks? Is this all a reference?
On at Dry Rock Gulch and on to the next target, Safari Adventure. I approached the park and observed a man doing battle with a large creature. I chased it off by shooting it with 3 nukes, all of which it survived. This was not a good sign. Anyway, the guy started talking to me, and from a distance I had assumed he was some kind of male stripper, meant to appeal to the female fantasy of being bludgeoned to death with a sledgehammer. But actually, he's just a caveman who was raised by gorillas, which is marginally more believable. His name is Cedo, and he used his caveman dialect to explain that Safari Adventure is overrun with gator claws that are being cloned in a big triangle house, and I need to disable the cloning machine to claim the park. I briefly considered putting a revolver in my mouth as a preferable alternative, but after I heard him using 150% of his brain power to forcibly enunciate the word facility, I felt bad and accepted the quest.
Facility.
So I set out searching for a key to the triangle house, and thankfully the gators weren't much of a problem. I mean, they didn't have any nukes, which was a pretty big deal right off the bat. However, they are very tanky, so just use literally any gun that goes full auto and you should be absolutely fine. In fact, if you want to make it especially simple, you can just go to the top of this treehouse and firebomb the entire map. Honestly, I think the hardest battle I had here was against my alcoholism that I had acquired in Dry Rock Gulch. Eventually, I found the key, let myself into the cloning...
If you're an alcoholic in this game, doesn't that mean you're gonna suffer? You can't just, like, not drink alcohol after you have that, right? Or is there a way to overcome your alcoholism? Can you do that in Fallout? Can you become an alcoholic and then be like, you know what, actually, I don't think I want to be an alcoholic anymore. Can I just cure myself of alcoholism? That'd be kind of cool if that was a thing, but I don't know if it is. So I'm curious.
The entire map. Honestly, I think the hardest battle I had here was against my alcoholism that I had acquired in Dry Rock Gulch. Eventually, I found the key, let myself into the cloning facility, and started clearing it out. I felt kind of guilty for slaughtering all these dumb animals with nuclear weapons, so I thought I'd try fist fighting one of them just to get my anger levels back up again. It worked like a charm. Anyway, I blasted some gators, hacked into this computer, and turned off the cloning device. I told Cedo the good news, and he was so excited that he gifted me a rocket-propelled aluminum bat that presumably he has engineered himself. Not really clear on that. What I am clear on is that the park now belongs to us. On that note, let's go to the 4th park, the Nuka-Cola bottling plant. an industrial
Bottling.
complex which, judging by the automated turrets and unmarked minefields, was probably run by Jeff Bezos. There's
Yeah.
also a little section called the World of Refreshments, which I spent
That's
some
not
time
refreshing.
exploring. And by exploring,
it.
I mean I was pulverizing crustaceans to death with a baseball bat. Back outside, I was feeling a little guilty about the power disparity between myself and the crabs, so I decided to handicap myself by asserting my vertebrate dominance with nothing but a flare gun. This was a massive mistake, because out of the lake emerged the Queen Mirelurk,
Oh,
and
God,
she's pretty
that's not
tough.
fun.
A direct hit with the nuke does about 10% damage, and sometimes she likes to spit acid on me and melt off all of my skin. And
And you're supposed to defeat that without a nuke? How do you normally defeat her without the nuke? What do you mean it only does 10%? That's a long fight. Oh my god.
damage, and sometimes she likes to spit acid on me and melt off all of my skin. And as if
Yeah.
that wasn't bad enough, she has a whole harem of Mirelurk kings to
Ew.
chase me down and pound the shit out
They're
of
so
me while I'm
gross.
reloading. However, I navigated this problem by applying my universal solution, which was to take a lot of drugs and run really fast. This
I don't
helped
know why
create
it
some
goes there.
distance, which allowed me to pick off the ads before circling back and slow motion nuking the Queen Mirelurk to an early retirement. I cannot
Good
imagine
night.
how embarrassing it must be to have your entire colony destroyed by this dickhead, but luckily she
With
won't have to
no
worry about
clothes
that
on.
because she's dead and the
Yep.
bottling plant is now ours. On to the next target.
That was easy. Kitty
This is
Kingdom,
it, the final
owned by
park,
children.
Kitty Kingdom. As a professional YouTuber who owns a copy of Minecraft, this could be the most dangerous park of them all. Previously
Yeah.
a children's theme park with several rides and a castle, it has now been renovated into an industrial gas chamber, with radioactive fumes being pumped into the area at regular intervals. Also, it's inhabited by hundreds of feral ghouls, which are relatively easy to kill. However, they close distance very quickly, and melee combat has become substantially more hazardous, thanks to the mysterious stranger who sometimes shows up and nukes the shit out of me. The only upside is that I have this cryogenic shoulder pad, which sometimes freezes my enemies solid, at which point I can
Nice.
take my time knocking off all of their limbs with a baseball bat.
Force them to
Anyway,
be
our goal here is to
limbless.
defeat Oswald the Outrageous and seize control of the park. He's hiding somewhere, and I decided to start my search in the funhouse.
Why is... I don't know if his name's actually Oswald, but I'll call him Oswald. Why is he okay with, gassing the children's area? Is it like an addiction? Is he consistently high? Is it good? Huh? Aside from preventing anyone from existing near you, is there any like reason lore-wise why he set it up that way? Because it's a bit alarming.
Seize control of the park. He's hiding somewhere, and I decided to start my search
But
in the
clearly he
funhouse.
doesn't like
Upon
people.
entering, we had to navigate a labyrinth of mirrors, which was fairly easy because
Yeah.
none of the mirrors were reflective. Instead, they appeared to be coated in several layers of dried ejaculant. However, while I
Something
was
like that.
marveling at the artisanal craftsmanship of the mirrors, I failed to notice the several landmines scattered about the floor. After limping my way through the maze, I spot Oswald in this control room. I attempt
his
to get
name is
closer, and
Oswald.
he throws a grenade at me.
Oh,
What a
that's
dick.
rude.
From here, I engage in what was either high-level platforming or low-level astronaut training, before entering the
Both.
hallway of hypnosis. I won't lie, this part was actually mildly disorienting. In
I
fact,
like
at
it.
one point, I had to use a dead guy just to confirm I wasn't actually hallucinating. I fumbled my way through this section and into a spinning
beautiful.
room with about 24 doors all around it. One door led to that thing that happens when you open OBS. Another
Yeah.
presented us with the illusion of a happy family. And of
That's
course, there was the
not
classic
real.
room full of flamethrowers, positively delightful. By the time I found the correct door, Oswald had already escaped, so I moved on to
course
search
he
for him in
did.
King Cola's castle. Never mind. It turns out the park has more traps than I thought, not the least of which are the amusement rides themselves. In fact, I have personally witnessed several park employees being killed, maimed, or otherwise dismembered by the rides here, and it's
I
only been
wouldn't
like
go on
20
one of
minutes.
those.
Of course, I had to try this for myself with the roller coaster carts, and I
Yeah.
realized that it's a lot like boxing. When you expect to get hit, it doesn't do that much damage, but it's the punch you don't see coming that will decimate you. After this, I strolled around the park
that's
a bit
messed
more,
up.
killing ghouls and rummaging through garbage bins, until I wandered my way into some employee tunnels. I sprinted through the tunnels like a wild animal, at which point I found Oswald talking to one of his staff members in his office. Naturally, I wanted to return the grenade he had thrown at me earlier. This did not work, and I felt like an idiot, so I just kind of took that one on the chin. But it wasn't all bad, because after Oswald disappeared in a puff of smoke, I went into the office and found my next stylistic evolution.
Oh my god, this place is an acid trip and a half. What is Oswald? Is he even human? What is he? He's just something. I don't... What? This place is an acid trip.
Disappeared in a puff of smoke. I went into the office and found my next stylistic evolution. Oh yeah, this is gonna work just fine. Alright, well that does it. There's only one place left for Oswald to be hiding. The theater. I broke in with all the grace of a homeless drug addict and started talking with Oswald. He was trying to convince me that he has magical abilities, and he said he was going to show me one of his greatest tricks. Then he punched me in the head and ran away. Truly a master of the mystical arts. I followed him up to the roof, where he gave me some shitty story about being a sympathetic villain. But at this point, I was so tired of chasing him around the park and getting hit by roller coasters that I opted for immediate violence. In response, Oswald unleashed his most powerful magic trick of all, crashing my game. 3 minutes later, we were back, and the fight was on. Oswald was much higher level than me, and he had a grand time cutting off my limbs with his fancy sword. However, I managed to counter this by simply jumping over a railing, at which point he could no longer stab me. His method of coping with this was to bathe me in Molotov cocktails, but they don't hurt that much, and I've got enough drugs to stay up here for weeks. I am aware that this tactic borders on cheating, so I'm prepared to negotiate. Instead of staying up here and nuking Oswald into oblivion, I will instead empty out the entire contents of my junk section into the junk jet and kill Oswald with the physical manifestations of my hoarding disorder. This
Okay. Yeah, that's fine, but also it's really not cheating what you're doing. If it's something that the game is allowing you to do, then it's not cheating. You simply have the upper hand, the high ground. Take advantage of that. But I do respect your decision to I guess, weaken yourself? I don't know. You're not really weak anyway. I respect it regardless, though. You're messed up, Reggie.
Junk jet and kill Oswald with the physical manifestations of my hoarding disorder. This included everything from light bulbs to rolls of duct tape, but the primary ingredient was 156 stacks of pre-war money, which I spent the next 20 minutes bouncing off Oswald's head. This was very enjoyable, albeit not especially effective, because Oswald seems to legitimately be invincible. I shot him with 200 junk items. He barely noticed. Ran him into 6 fragmentation mines. He walked it off. And even when I got desperate enough to nuke him, he would just reset his health bar. This kind of freaked me out, so I panicked and shot him like 50 times. At which point, I realized he wasn't damage immune, just damage resistant. And now, he's dead. I stole his clothing in order to complete my Charlie and the Chocolate Factory cosplay, and quickly raised the flag on Kitty Kingdom, indicating our complete conquest over Nuka World. All that's left to do is to go to the power station and press the big red button to finally power up the park. And just like that, we are the CEO of the world's finest slavery-themed amusement park, which gives us quite a few benefits. For example, all of the rides are now operational.
Nice. I like that.
And I can't confirm this, but it is my personal headcanon that we're receiving our electricity from a small armada of slaves running on hamster wheels. Also, we can even gather up a gang of raiders and go out into the Commonwealth to recruit more employees through what I like to call competitive hiring practices. So now that we've achieved our primary goal, what's left for us? Well, according to mustache enthusiast Christopher Vogler, the final stage of the hero's journey is to return home as a changed man. In our case, that would be Sanctuary, and as a matter of fact, I am a changed man. Because whatever final thread of sanity had previously prevented me from killing all of these people has finally been severed.
Goodbye, Sanctuary. What it is, man. I'm sorry, dude. Rip. They're just trying to survive. Give them an end.
Well,
that
it's
way they don't
finally
have
over.
to struggle
We've conquered
anymore.
a world where the only projectile ever invented was nuclear bombs. I want to thank this month's patrons for supporting the channel.
Thank
Don't forget to
you,
check out
Reggie.
Makeship to purchase and abuse my likeness. And finally, thank you for watching.
Stop. Thank you. I can see why this video gets recommended a lot. I liked it. Albeit I have questions. I liked it. Thank you for tuning in to another Neko Reacts. What is the weirdest mod pack you've ever played Fallout 4 with? Let me know in the comments below. Until then, please leave a like and subscribe to the universe, and I'll see you in the next one. Matanya!